Welcome back to week 3 of Back in My Body. My name is Hannah, and I'm really looking forward to today's session. We'll be exploring something a little bit different, and that is contract and release. Contracting and releasing, so contracting and softening the muscles is a really great way to release a sympathetic charge in our nervous system, as well as promote a little bit of a deeper rest, a deeper relaxation. So with that being said, I invite you to set up your space as you need it. You might enjoy having a couple blankets, a bolster, or something similar, such as towels or maybe some thick couch cushions. If you'd like to have some blocks available, those could be helpful. So I'll meet you back here once you have those items or something like them. And we'll actually begin today's session standing. So if it feels okay for your body to stand, I invite you to find your way up onto your feet. And as you begin to come into this standing shape, I welcome you to really notice your stance. Is this stance stable for you? Does it feel supportive? And if not, then I remind you that you have every choice and every option to change how you're standing, change your mind at any time in this class. Change the shape, anything that might need to be altered. And so as we come into this mountain shape, our Tadasana, altering your stance as needed. And then once you feel like you've arrived in a stance that is stable and supportive to you, I welcome you to allow the toes to spread out, maybe even stretching them out. You could even pick up the toes off the floor, allow them to spread, perhaps even rocking from side to side. And as you do so, beginning to bring awareness into the weight of your body, sinking down into your feet, and the feet connecting with the floor beneath you. You might continue to rock even after the toes take up space, or you might prefer stillness. And if you do choose to rock, you might even explore feeling the weight shift from one side of your foot to the opposite side of the opposite foot. And if you choose to be in stillness, perhaps you just observe the weighted sensation, the connection of your feet supported by what is beneath you. Option to leave the eyes open or take them closed. And you might leave your hands resting down at your sides, or you might place one hand over your heart and one over your abdomen. Beginning to draw the awareness into your body, whether that be into the feet, or perhaps scanning through the body in your own way, observing any present sensations. And in our session today, I offer you a contemplation and an affirmation. Swami Dayananda says, yoga teaches you to love yourself, starting with the body. Yoga teaches you to love yourself, starting with the body. And the affirmation I offer you today is, I am learning to love my body. Or perhaps you even replace the word love if there's something that suits you better, such as I'm learning to connect with my body. I'm learning to be in relationship with my body. I'm learning to partner with my body. So taking 3 rounds of breath here to decide what feels true to you in this moment. And then perhaps once you have your affirmation of choice that serves you in this session today, perhaps you take a deeper breath in through the nose, allowing this affirmation to settle down into your body. Perhaps exhaling out of the mouth. And with that, I invite you to release the hands from the heart and the abdomen, perhaps even rolling through the wrists, rolling through the shoulders, exploring, allowing the shoulders to roll back and down, allowing the chest to open as much as it would like. Maybe even moving into the neck. And we'll begin in our mountain shape, our Tadasana. That is the Sanskrit word for our mountain shape. And our first contract and release. So with your feet grounded and connected with the floor, I welcome you to place your hands at your sides, maybe even touching the tops or the sides of your quad muscles, allowing this sense of tactile touch to travel from your legs into your fingers. And so what that could look like is, as you stand here, beginning to engage your quad muscles, allowing the quads to contract, engage, tighten, as if you are lifting the kneecaps up, perhaps even feeling the quad muscles respond to this action with your fingertips. And exhale to release, softening the legs. And we'll do that 2 more times at your leisure. So as you breathe in, engaging the muscles, engaging the quads, feeling the difference here between exhaling and releasing the muscles. 1 more time at your own pace. Breathing in, contracting. Breathing out, releasing. And we'll be revisiting this contract and release throughout class today in different shapes. And as always, you have the choice to decide what you want to do with your body. So if the contract and release does not serve you today, I invite you to release that effort and simply be in the shape as you want to be in the shape. And if you'd like to join, you can join. So with that being said, I welcome you to inhale and reach your arms up overhead, allowing your feet to ground down into the earth and perhaps allowing your arms to float up, taking your spine along with them. And exhale. Option to drop the elbows, creating some cactus arms or like goalpost arms. Maybe even rolling the shoulders back once and allowing the chest to peel open. Inhale to reach the arms right back up above the head. And with your exhale, option to stay here, or you might hook your thumbs together and Lean to the right or to one side. Inhaling for center. And exhaling to cactus arms. Peeling open. Maybe even exploring here how much you want to open or how much you don't want to open. Deciding where that spot is for you today. Breathing in and reaching the arms up. And perhaps hooking the thumbs together and exhaling to lean the opposite direction for a nice side stretch. Observing the opening in your ribs. And if having your thumbs hooked together here does not serve you, you could also release the hand that you're leaning down to and rest it on your leg for a little bit of support. With your next inhale, rising back up to center, we'll take that one more time on each side, exhaling in your own timing to drop the elbows and peel the chest open, drawing the shoulder blades together. Breathing in when you're ready for it. Reaching the arms up, perhaps even lengthening through the spine, and an exhale to find a lateral stretch to the opposite side. Inhaling for center if you're ready for it. Last one. Exhale. Dropping the elbows, opening up through the chest. I'll show you from the side. And breathing in to lengthen up. And an exhale. Opposite direction, taking a side stretch, only going as far as you want to go, as far as your body might be ready to go. I'll meet you back at center with an inhale. And an exhale to release the arms down, maybe rolling through the shoulders and observing any sensation in the shoulders that might have been from that stretch, that little sequence we just did. So maybe the shoulders are feeling a little bit warm. I know mine are. Maybe even rolling through the wrists. And in your own timing, you could come to the top of your mat. And I give you the option here to move through 3 half sun salutations. We'll be exploring taking a forward fold and rising back up. 3 to 4, depending on what pace you move at, because you can move at your own pace. So if you're ready, you might begin to inhale. Lengthen the arms up towards the sky, feeling the feet still connected to the earth. Even as your spine and your arms float up, you are still tethered, still held, still connected. One more breath in here. Option to exhale, perhaps even bending into the knees and folding forward. If you need to alter your stance, option to do so here, and that could look like perhaps taking your feet a little bit wider. If your feet are together and your hamstrings, these big muscles in the back of your legs are feeling really tight, it might be supportive to take your feet to hip distance apart or even as wide as your mat. Perhaps exploring a micro bend or a deep bend in the knees. And with your next inhale, option to place your hands on your shins or on blocks. So blocks could be right here in place of the shins. Lengthening through the spine. Perhaps your gaze even looks down at the floor, lengthening through the neck. And an exhale to fold in your own timing. And when you're ready, you could inhale and lengthen and rise all the way up. Taking your time. If you feel lightheaded, that's totally normal. It's just your blood pressure regulating. And an exhale to fold right back down if and when you are ready for it. moving at your own pace, perhaps using your breath as a guide, inhaling for a halfway lift, hands to the shins or blocks or fingertips to the floor. You choose whatever feels accessible to you in this moment. And an exhale to fold right back down, or you could stay in the halfway lift longer. Inhaling to rise in your own timing. Exhale to take a forward fold. And this time, option here to allow a little bit of extra time in this forward fold. So that could look like allowing your neck to release any tension, perhaps even folding the arms into one another, maybe rocking from side to side. And if staying in this forward fold really doesn't serve you in this moment, option to visit a halfway lift or leave the forward fold at any time, coming back into a mountain shape if you would like to. As we take just 2 more rounds of breath here in this forward fold, perhaps even swaying your torso, observing how it might feel in your lower back to do so. And after your second round of breath, you could begin to find a halfway lift. And then slowly, in your own timing, come right back up. Option to bring the hands to heart center. Pausing here for a moment. Observing any effect of these shapes on your body, on your breath. And perhaps even bringing to mind the affirmation you set for yourself at the beginning of class. I am learning to love my body. Or perhaps it was something different. And we'll take one more half sun salutation just to position us to come back into a child shape or down dog. So if you're ready, if you prefer to skip the sun salutation, you could just meet me there in child shape. Or you could inhale and reach your arms up overhead. And exhale to take a fold, perhaps bending into your knees. Inhale for a halfway lift when you are ready for it. And then exhale to fold right back down. Planting the hands on the floor so that we have some stability. And if that means bending your knees even deeper, that's okay. We can bend our knees even deeper. So with our hands secure and stable, you could step 1 foot back and then the other. And we have a couple options here. So option 1, you could explore a child shape, balasana. And that might look like taking the knees a little bit wider, perhaps allowing the toes back behind you to touch. And then allowing the hips to send back toward your heels. Maybe you allow your arms to outstretch and release the forehead to the floor. Or perhaps you bring your elbows to the mat, keeping your chest and your gaze lifted. You choose. This is our child shape, and whatever option you decide to take it in. Option 2 is to find a down dog. So what that looks like is coming up into a tabletop shape, perhaps even walking your hands a little bit forward just to give your shoulders some room. And then you could tuck your toes on the mat and begin to lift the knees, lift the hips up. I always like to keep my knees bent here for this first moment just because it helps the hamstrings. So option to keep your knees bent and send the hips back, stretching through the shoulders as much as it feels safe to do so in your body. And then you could release one heel down to the floor and then swap it out and release the opposite heel toward the floor. Kind of like you're pedaling a bike or walking. One heel goes up, the other goes down. And if you are in down dog and your hamstrings are feeling really tight, option to take your feet as wide as your mat, just to give the body a little bit of extra room to move in. You choose. You know your body best. And we'll take another 2 rounds of breath here. And if you are in down dog and you'd like to stay here, you could perhaps find some stillness if you're ready to find stillness. Maybe allowing the heels to float down toward the earth. Or you could release into child's shape at any time. 2 options here. If you are in down dog or child's shape, I invite you to take 3 contracts and release with me. So if you are looking to burn up a little bit of sympathetic charge, so like your nervous system is feeling a little bit charged today, maybe a little bit anxious, it might be welcome to explore a down dog to burn up a little bit of extra energy. And if not, you can choose any shape you want. So from here in either down dog or child shape, I invite you to engage your muscles, pressing the hands into the floor, making it really active, engaging the legs, engaging the arms, squeezing on an inhale, and releasing the muscles on an exhale. We'll take 2 more at your own pace. Breathing in and engaging the muscles. It looks like there's not a lot of action, but there's tons of action. We're squeezing the quads, squeezing the back muscles, the arms pressing into the floor, and exhale, releasing. Last one here, breathing in, squeezing and engaging the muscles, pressing down into the earth and turning and squeezing into ourselves. Exhale, release. If you are in down dog, you might release the knees to the floor and find your choice of child shape. Allowing all of the muscles in the body to soften as much as they feel safe to do so. We'll take a pause here for 3 rounds of breath. Noticing any sensation from the contract and release. Is there perhaps an increase of warmth in the body? Maybe there's a sense of relief. Whatever it may be. Just observing it with our last round of breath. And after your last round of breath, you could decide to continue to stay here in our child shape. Or you might decide that you're ready to leave this shape, and if so, you could lift the head if it isn't already. Rock yourself forward into a tabletop. And we'll begin to find our way into a seated shape. So you could come to sit on your hips, your glutes. Option 1 is to cross your legs in front of you. Option 2, if crossing your legs does not feel supportive for your body in this moment, is to perhaps bring the soles of the feet together. And if you would like a little bit of coverage, you could always take your blanket and drape it over your lap, which you can do really in any shape. But in this one, if it's helpful, you could provide a little bit of safety and comfort. Place a blanket over your lap. So coming into either a cross-legged shape or a butterfly shape with the soles of the feet together. Taking a moment to adjust if needed. And option to take the hands to either side of the floor next to your hips. And if you would like to find a little bit of length in your spine, you could press your hands, your fingertips into the floor like you're lifting your spine like an elevator. Noticing this sensation here. Observing, am I sitting up taller? Is there a little bit more space in my body? And with your next inhale, or when you're ready, you could begin to bring your hands back in front of you, perhaps continuing to allow the spine to lift up. And whether you are in a cross-legged shape or a butterfly shape, you might begin to walk your hands forward. And stopping about halfway of where, or how far you want to go, maybe stopping halfway here. And we'll revisit our contract and release, but this time for our legs and our hips. And so we'll take 3 pulses if you'd like to join. And here, as you breathe in, I welcome you to squeeze your legs together. Squeeze the muscles inward. And maybe even if your feet are together, you could press the soles of the feet together if you're in butterfly. And exhale to release. Perhaps walking your hands out just a little bit further. Maybe now we're about 3/4 of the length that we'd like to go. And revisit this, inhaling to contract, pulling in. Exhale to let it go. Option to walk your hands out to the length that you would like to have them. So your hands could be really far away or not very far away at all. Anything that your body prefers in this moment is the best place to be. And last one, option to breathe in and contract the muscles in the legs, noticing if this contraction feels a little bit different than the previous one, since we might be a little bit further away from our legs. And exhale to let it go. Option to completely find a passive approach here to this shape, maybe even allowing your head to completely let go. And if you have a block or a bolster within reach, you could even rest your forehead or a piece of your body anywhere that feels accessible on the prop. You could place a block here in front of you, either for your arms or your head. Noticing that there are 3 levels to the block. So if one level doesn't work, you could maybe bring it up to its highest setting. If you have more than one block, you could stack them if you need a little bit more height. And I invite you to be here for the next 4 rounds of breath. However, you reserve the right to leave at any time. No permission needed other than your own. And as we're here for these last 2 rounds of breath, in your mind's eye, can you search out and find where you're feeling the sensation of stretch in your body? And after your 4th round of breath, if and when you are ready to leave this shape, you could begin to lift the head and walk the hands back toward you. If your legs are crossed, take a moment and notice which leg is in front, because we'll switch the cross of our legs and revisit it on the other side. So if your left leg is in front, then we'll switch the cross so that the left leg is now in back, or vice versa. And we'll revisit this shape. If you were in butterfly shape previously, you could revisit that shape, or you could always extend the legs out, either wide or even just together in front of you, if you prefer. So deciding where you would like to be, taking one breath in, and perhaps on that breath in, you allow the spine to float up, finding lots of space here. And as you exhale, you could begin walking your hands forward, maybe about halfway compared to where you might want to go. And here we'll revisit 3 contracts and releases. So breathing in, if you'd like to join, and engaging the muscles in the legs, engaging the quads, even your feet, allowing the feet to flex. Exhale to release. Option to walk your hands forward a little bit further if you want to. Breathing in and contracting the muscles in the legs, the quads, the calves, the knees even. Exhale, let it go. Option to walk your hands forward a little bit more if you want to, if there's space. If not, that's okay too. You don't have to. Last one as we breathe in, if you'd like to join, and contract the muscles, even the feet and the toes. Press, press, press. Exhale and release as much as you would like to. Perhaps using your bolster or your block in front of you so that you can completely sink as much as you want to into this forward fold. I welcome you to take 4 rounds of breath here, tuning into your body and noticing, where am I feeling this stretch and what does it feel like? Last round of breath. If you are ready to leave this shape, because you could stay here longer if you want to, I welcome you to lift the head. Start walking your hands back at your own pace, taking your time. Slowly coming back up to a seated shape. Taking this opportunity to observe any effects, any sensations in your body from these previous shapes or from the whole session. Noticing how you feel. And perhaps even bringing to mind the affirmation you created for yourself at the beginning of class. I am learning to love my body. I'm learning to partner with my body, to be in relationship with my body, to connect with my body. Last breath here at center. And if you would like to, you could plant the feet in front of you, nice and wide. Option to plant the hands behind you to support you. And we'll just allow the knees to fall in toward the left or the right. They both can go in the same direction. Kind of like a windshield wiper. And then maybe you send them in the opposite direction. Taking a few more at your own pace. Just allowing some fluidity into the hips after taking those folds. Okay. And when you feel satisfied and complete, I invite you to begin to set up, to have a lie down on your mat. So we'll take a couple other shapes, but if you know that once we're done with those shapes and we move into our time of rest, how you'd like your space to be set up, you could kind of prep it beforehand so that you don't have to get up if you're feeling nice and cozy. You might want to have another blanket nearby. Perhaps even a bolster within reach if you know that you'll want that. And when you feel set up and ready, I invite you to come down to lie on the back. And we'll take a knees to chest shape, our Appanasana, which is just simply drawing the knees in toward the chest. Option to wrap your hands around your knees, maybe over the tops or even behind the knees, if that feels a bit more accessible. And you might choose to pause here in stillness, simply feeling this curling in. Or you might decide to rock from left to right, almost like you are massaging your lower back. for the next 2 rounds of breath. And after your second round of breath, you might decide to plant the feet on the floor and option to take the feet as wide as the mat. So a little bit of instead of hip distance apart, the feet are stanced out a little bit wider, and you can feel the right and left side edges of your mat or thereabouts. And just as we kind of windshield wipe the knees right before this shape, we'll return to something similar, and you could allow your knees to fall over toward the right. Here's option 1. Just pausing right here, allowing the legs, the knees to lean over toward the right, perhaps releasing the effort, any effort in the legs. Option 2 is to take, if you moved your knees over to the right, then your bottom ankle would be your right ankle. So option 2 is to take your right ankle and simply place it on top of your left knee and allow the leg to soften again. If this causes any discomfort in your left knee or in either knee or in other areas of your body, you don't have to keep the right ankle on top of the left knee. You could return back to having both feet on the floor and just allowing the knees to fall open toward the right. So whatever you decide, I invite you to visit this shape for the next 4 to 5 rounds of breath. However, you reserve the right to leave this shape or any shape at any time. No questions asked. Can you tune in, noticing this shape and the effects of the shape? Where are you feeling it in your body? The last breath here. And if your right ankle is stacked on top of your left knee, you might begin to remove it and allow the knees to come back to center. Perhaps even drawing the knees in toward the chest if your lower back needs a little bit of adjusting. And then when you feel ready for the next side, the feet could plant as wide as your mat, and the knees could begin to fall over to the left. Perhaps this is where we stay. Perhaps this is what feels supportive to the body. Option 2 is to take your left ankle and place it on top of the right knee. You choose. What do you want to do with your body in this moment? What is your body willing to do in this moment? As we explore this shape for the next 4 to 5 rounds of breath. Last breath here. And when you decide you are satisfied from this shape, you could remove the left ankle from the knee if you have it there, and bring the knees back in toward the chest one last time. And we'll begin to set up for our time of rest. We'll revisit a breath practice as we sink into this time. So, option to extend your legs out long, perhaps even having a blanket and draping it over your body. You might prefer to rest on your stomach. That is an option. Or you might prefer to keep your feet planted on the ground if your low back is feeling a little tender or tight. And before we visit our breath practice, we'll take our final contract and release series session. And so with that, I invite you to arrive in whatever shape you want to be in. And we'll start with the right leg. So as you breathe in, engaging the right muscles of the leg, almost like you're pressing the leg down into the earth, flexing the right foot, the right quad, engaging. Exhale, let it go. We'll move to the left leg. Breathing in, engaging the left leg, engaging the left glute, the left foot, squeeze, engage, and exhale, let go. Into the right arm if you're ready for it, and engaging the right arm. Maybe you ball the right hand into a fist, engage the right shoulder, press. Exhale, let it go. Into the left arm, engaging, breathing in and squeezing, contracting the muscles, contracting the hand, contracting the shoulder. Let it go. And now we'll do our last one, our face, our neck, our chest. Squeeze, even scrunch your face up. Exhale. Let it go. If it feels safe, you might allow your muscles to soften. Perhaps noticing the weight of your body pressing down into the support beneath you. And as we start to sink into this time of rest, I welcome you to simply notice that you are breathing. Knowing that you don't have to do anything to change your breath. You don't have to force it to be different. All we're doing is noticing, watching the natural breath move in and out at your own pace. anytime your mind wanders away from your breath, I invite you to just bring it back as we are here for the next 8 rounds of breath, 8 inhales and 8 exhales, maybe even counting them. You might even observe with these last 3 or 4 rounds of breath where your body is moving in tandem with your breath. Feeling your chest rise, the stomach rise and fall. And with each exhale, perhaps allowing your body to sink a little bit deeper into the support beneath you, knowing that you are held, literally being held up by what is beneath you. And after your 8th breath, option to release or maintain the attention toward your breath. As we come into our time of quiet rest, knowing that there is nothing that you need to do here, nothing to accomplish, you are allowed, you are invited to just be. And with one optional cleansing breath in and out, I invite you to bring to mind your affirmation. I am learning to love my body. And I'll keep time. We'll be here in our resting shape for the next 4.5 minutes. And I'll be quiet, but just know that I am still here. I'm still with you. And I'll let you know when the time of rest is complete. You could choose to stay here longer, continuing to be in this time of rest for as long as you need it. Or if you are ready to begin finding your way out of this time of rest, you might begin to trace your fingertips along your thumb, or adding any movement back into your body that you see fit. You might begin to increase the size of your movements. Perhaps rolling over to one side and resting in the fetal position for just a moment. And when you're ready, I'll meet you back in a seated shape. Taking your time getting there. Option 2, bring your hands to heart center or placing your hands anywhere you want. And I invite you to bring to mind one last time the affirmation that you created for yourself at the beginning of class, maybe even speaking it out loud, maybe just whispering it to yourself. And with that, I invite you to take a cleansing breath with me, a collective breath, and we'll start by exhaling the air out if you'd like to join. And we'll breathe in together. My hope for you is that you feel safe, connected, and at home in your body. Thank you for joining me today.